So Halloween, obviously walking outside, great time. It's too hot, I can't walk outside anymore. It's bundle up and keep your body moving and have fun with it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome actually to your spooky season survival guide. Dr. Tracy and I are excited to bring you a brand new conversation that hopefully is helpful for you today, right now, in this season. Dr. Tracy, I know America loves Halloween, but there are mixed emotions. But some of the things that we know to be true as we get into this conversation is that people are going to eat. There's going to be more candy present. There's going to be the holiday brings with it some potentially dangerous habits we just want to talk about today. So we're going to have some fun with this conversation, but let's start with Dr. Tracy. We're meeting an hour earlier than normal, and I'm curious if you got your exercise in this morning. I'm going to put you on the spot right out the gate.
No, I'm at my son's house, so it's a different room. No sun behind me, no backyard behind me. I'm at my son's house this weekend. So no, I did not. We are going to go out for a walk with baby Adeline. We're going to go have a crisp walk with her a little later.
That's amazing. Oh, I appreciate the commitment to the conversation. If you're a listener right now, just know Dr. Tracy is committed to keeping this conversation going. And as we said from the very beginning, when we said we're just getting started, the truth is there's just so much more that we need to talk about. So for those of you that are watching, don't just watch. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you're joining in the conversation. We read the comments. We enjoy the talk back. Even if you have questions, some of the questions that we fielded on through these podcasts, we're using them for future content. So thanks for being a part of the conversation. We're going to jump in. It is October officially. And Dr. Tracy, if it's okay with you, I just want to say I actually just got back from North Carolina. I got to spend some time with some pastors in North Carolina who are on the front lines trying to help just restore hope to families that are really, really going through it right now, that have lost their homes, their cars, their livelihood. And there's a lot of great people on the ground doing great work to help them get back up on their feet, but it's going to take some time. So anyone in North Carolina or Florida, Georgia, anywhere that's been affected, we just want you to know that we're praying for you, and we're in it with you. And if there's anything we can do to help, we're here for you. But so out the gate, we wanted to acknowledge that as we're hopefully coming out of hurricane season, right, Dr. Tracy, after a double whammy. That we get to kind of get into the holidays and get into the spirit. But there's some things that happen in the holidays that we want to talk about. So I want to jump right into question number one, Dr. Tracy. Can you explain why October specifically is a time when people tend to feel more sluggish or sore? Why is that?
Our sun changes. The angle of the sun starts changing, and we are not. It's getting cooler, and the time is changing. So it's still dark in the morning, so we're not getting up. The sun dictates that because it's our circadian rhythms. And we're entering into a time, I'm not necessarily into acupuncture. I have an acupuncturist, the yin and the yang, but we're entering a time of rest. That this is the cycle. We're supposed to be regrouping. We're supposed to be reflecting. And so this is that time to do that. And that's why it's happening in October. And that's why you feel tired, because we're not getting that vitamin D. We got to bump that up. And then the second part was what?
Yeah, sluggish and sore. Yeah.
Sore. Yeah.
It's almost like when it rains, we feel it in our bones. Even when it's cold, we tend to feel it just a little bit more in our bones. I mean, where's that soreness coming from? Why do we feel that?
So when an area is weak, the weather is going to attack it. As the barometric pressure changes, people are like, oh, I know the weather's changing, my knee hurts. It's a true thing, because when an area has been damaged, when things change outside of our control, the pressures, it's going to hurt more. It's going to cause more inflammation in those joints.
Well, what we want to acknowledge is, the holidays bring a lot of joy and blessing and fun and family time. We know that the holidays can be tough, and we're as well, but we're about to get into Halloween. So again, we don't like to timestamp a lot of our content here, but the truth is Halloween is upon us, and this is timely content that we want to make sure we share. Halloween can be tough on our health, and so I want to jump right into this question that this may appeal to everyone. This may appeal to more to families who have young kids, but everybody eats candy and excess sugar around Halloween. So maybe you, Dr. Tracy, I'll have a little bit of candy. But here's my question to you, segueing into Halloween here. How does too much sugar actually affect our bodies, especially when it comes to inflammation and fatigue?
Wow, there is a list of what too much sugar causes. Well, what's the number one? Diabetes,
Mm.
insulin resistance. You put too much sugar, your body, pancreas can't dump enough insulin to counteract those raising blood sugars. So then that causes cardiovascular disease. Obviously, that's inflammation in the heart, in the blood vessels. It's damage to the tissues. It's bad for our immune system. I know this is a later question, but those sugars, our body feeds off of it. The bad bacteria feed off of sugar. It loves sugar. Sugar creates an acidic environment inside our body. That is just overall bad. And it spikes us and causes more depression because you get that, oh, I feel good, that endorphin and that high. What happens after the high?
Mm.
The low.
Yeah.
There's more depression during this time as well.
It's counterintuitive, right? Life does teach us that sugar tastes good, right? And the part that we tend to forget is how bad it makes us feel sometime after. So we want to set families up for success. We're going into Halloween in particular. How can we help families? What advice would you give to those that are going to participate in Halloween so that they don't overindulge? And let's get practical, if that's okay with you, Dr. Tracy. Let's get practical and talk about these are the things that you can do to make sure that you don't overindulge during Halloween, that you don't lose your health, that you don't take steps towards obesity and chronic disease and diabetes, as you talked about. Give us some practical tips.
Well, and one thing I didn't mention is that sugar depletes us of nutrients. It robs our nutrients because we're replacing sugar with the nutrients our body needs to survive. So one great thing to do, if you're going trick-or-treating, give your children a couple of apple slices because that's going to help the craving. Carrot slices. So those things that are healthy for you. Organic apple slices, because our apples are on the high list of the dirty dozen that you shouldn't eat just with organically. So adding those things. Another thing is fiber. I know that sounds crazy, but like a teaspoon of peanut butter.
Mm.
So protein, you can put that on that apple. Not sugar, not Jiffy, but real peanut butter, like just peanuts and maybe some salt in it. That's it.
That's a good point, and we will be careful in our conversations. We're going to keep this general, but for people to understand that there's a very real consequence to only eating candy. I think you probably have some families out there that think he's had so much candy, he's probably full. All he's had is, or she has had is candy. The reality is you can actually offset the detriment of candy by ensuring that you're also including other sort of macronutrients into the conversations. You talked about, carrot slices and apple slices, peanut butter, protein, fats, including other macronutrients. So you're actually decreasing the glycemic consequences of candy by making sure. And kids will do a lot to get their candy. For those that are going to eat candy no matter what, Dr. Tracy, they will eat something healthy if it means that they get to eat candy. And that should not be a perpetual reward for eating healthy. but in the Halloween holiday season, I think it's a great ad. Thank you, Dr. Tracy. So what are some fun, simple ways that people can keep moving while enjoying, all the festivities? So, like we said, it's the season of rest. People are down a little bit more, but we want to make sure that they're still moving because there's so much good that comes from movement. So, what are some practical tips that you have to keep people moving and going in the Halloween season?
So Halloween, obviously walking outside, great time. It's not it's too hot, I can't walk outside anymore. It's bundle up. But as you're moving, you're going to get warm. So you don't really have to be too bundled to do that.
Mm.
But as you gather, a great thing to do is playing games together. Pictionary, Wii bowling. I know these are older, but they have more advanced Wii games. They have more advanced games that you're moving and keeping your body moving and having fun with it.
Yes, having fun with it. I think about so my family. We're gonna do things like we're gonna carve pumpkins. We're gonna probably do a lot of crafts together at the dining table. We are gonna go out. We're gonna walk around and we're gonna trick or treat. And we're gonna do some things to get up and moving. But just know that is an incredibly beneficial thing for families out there. So next question is, can you explain a bit more about how chiropractic adjustments actually support our immunity? So that's what we're talking about right now. Is you mentioned good bacteria, bad bacteria. I know you just did a workshop on topics as big as cancer, but let's talk about the behavioral aspects of how does chiropractic adjustments, is what you do, how does that actually support our immunity, especially in the colder months when we really need it?
Well, all year round, chiropractic is needed. It's not just colder months, but our immune system is directly associated with our nervous system. Our brain, we've talked about this, our brain sends the signal out to the organs, out to the cells. So it's a direct communication to our nervous system or to our immune system. And so when you receive that adjustment, be it at the top, at the bottom, what that's doing, it's activating, and I'm an activator doctor, but activating the immune cells to start moving. So it's your white blood cells start capturing those bad cells that we're exposed to every day. So it's enhancing what your immune system's already doing. Now, if you have a low immune system, maybe it'll jumpstart it, get things moving so that your body's able to fight those things.
So maybe we put the cart before the horse there. So I think it's worth talking about for just a second. Hundreds of patients, thousands of patients that you see throughout the course of the year. You come up in the holiday season, and so for those that just heard how beneficial chiropractic care can be for their health in the holiday season, what are things that you see in your patients when they walk in the door? What are some of the symptoms? What are the things that they're dealing with? That as soon as you recognize those things, you're thinking, chiropractic care can help that. What are those things?
You mean physical or
Yeah,
immunity-wise or?
yeah, all of it. Yeah, I'm casting a wide net
You
on
are.
reality,
I mean,
what people are dealing with, especially in the colder months and the holiday seasons. What are the
depression. Depression. Depression is a brain thing. Again, the sun is coming down. It's getting darker. We're not getting that vitamin D. Depression is a real thing. Seasonal, what is it? Seasonal something disorder. I forget what it is. But it's when the time changes. So it's a real thing. So by the adjustment, we're just boosting everything. We're mobilizing. So I have to give you a story. So just this past week or last week, I started an 11-year-old. 11-year-old came into our office, and this young man, sweet little boy, his mom and his sister were there, older sister. And this child has been dealing with headaches, migraines since birth, since early on. Within the first couple of hours of him being alive, and we won't get into why, he started screaming. And for 18 months, that's all he did. He screamed. And ever since, he just has a headache every day. Doesn't know if it's going to be a migraine, doesn't know if he's going to wake up with it, go as the day, every day. And it was just like, he wanted to feel normal. That's his why. He wants to play sports. He's homeschooled because he can't go to school because he never knows if he can be in school that day, if the headache's going to get triggered, so he can't focus. And so to give that little boy hope, it is what fuels us. And so I did his first adjustment, showed him his x-rays, and oh my gosh, 11-year-old boy, and his neck looked like an 80-year-old. The degeneration, it's the worst I've seen in a young child. And I'm like, no accidents, normal birth, but what do you do to a child when they're upset? You give them a device. So it was looking down, all those years of looking down, tablets and books and reading and all of that. And so he had such degeneration in his neck, and I'm like, wow, no kidding, you've been suffering all this time. And so I gave him his first adjustment, and I showed up this week, Wednesday, get into the office. And I walk in the room, and he's sitting there, and he has a smile on his face, and I'm like, tell me something good. And his mom goes, 4 days without a headache.
Come on.
11 years, 4 days without a headache. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, that's my hope. That's the hope. That's the love. So any condition can be like that. No matter if you're 11, if you're 2 with a colicky baby, or if you're 90 and you just want to play pickleball or still be independent and drive your car.
You know, I want to stay there for just a second, Dr. Tracy, because I think about, so my first adjustment, I was 35. I didn't know anything about chiropractic care, and it's completely changed my life. But I want to talk about this 11-year-old boy because I hear a story like that. And I know, and you know, because of what we know about chiropractic care, as soon as that boy got to your office, we knew how that story was going to go. We knew. And so in a moment like that, it's so crazy to me that can be the best moment and also feel like the worst moment at the same time. And here's what I mean by that. The best moment because this boy has finally found the thing that's going to help him. He's finally found it. No telling how many other things he's tried. No, therapies, doctors, specialists, trying to figure it out. Diet, trying to figure out how to help this boy recover from his headaches. And he comes to you, and we know, man, he's come to the right place. He's going to get the help that he wants. And then, of course, you tell the bow at the end of that story is 4 days without a headache after an adjustment. That's insane to people on the outside. For us, it just makes sense. But here's where it could be the worst moment ever, because you start to think, why did it take 11 years for someone to finally tell this boy about chiropractic care? Why did it take 11 years for him to meet with every doctor, every specialist, every therapy, everything that he had tried, every friend in that family, right? That it took 11 years for him to finally get to a place where he was going to get the help that he needed. And so this is just a commissioning opportunity, Dr. Tracy, for anybody listening to this podcast right now who is, on the fence about chiropractic. You're in it for the health stuff, but you're not sure about chiropractic care. Let this 11-year-old boy stand as a testimony that chiropractic care works. Chiropractic care is effective, and it can change your life. It's changed our lives. It's changed this 11-year-old boy's life. It's changed his mom's life. It can change your life. And so if you're on the fence, it's time to get off the fence. Let this spooky season survival guide be the reason that you get off the fence about chiropractic care. And if you're already in the chiropractic care camp, tell somebody about it. Tell somebody that's going through it that chiropractic care works. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, Dr. Tracy, because we have 2 more questions, and we're doing really good on time. So, all right. So again, spooky season survival guide. I think there's a prime time opportunity for you right now just to take a minute or 2 and just what is the biggest advice? What is the biggest advice that you would put out there for families, for anyone in the area, where you are, anyone that's listening to this podcast? Do these things if you don't, not just survive the spooky season and the holidays, but you want to thrive right now. Here are the things that you should be doing.
Moderation. I mean, you don't want to. I denied my kids candy growing up. I knew how bad sugar was. I had read reports for every ounce of sugar, it cuts your immune system by an hour, all this kind of stuff. And so I denied my children candy. I did. Well, do you think it backfired? Of course it did. Of course. I denied them.
I can see
So,
that.
but moderation, moderation, like we said, counteract it with the good things. Don't let them feed off of that, like one piece, two piece, three piece, four piece. Like you got to limit it. You really do, because there's consequences to that. Keep your body moving, like we said. Vitamin D3 with K.
Mm.
Everybody needs to be on it. I don't care how old you are. Everybody needs to be on it. One more story on that. When we started getting into the functional medicine like 7, 8 years ago, I did blood testing on all my staff. And I did it on one of my workers who's been with us 14 years. And her vitamin D level was a 4. A 4. Range is 30 to 100. Really, it should be 60 to 80. That's your ideal. She had a 4. I don't know how she was functioning. She started taking the vitamin D. And she's like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to feel? Like she didn't know how bad she felt until she started taking it. Well, we just did a new test on her, and her vitamin D was 103.
Wow.
I was like, from a 4 to 103, good job.
I love that. I'm thinking about, how do we end this episode after I've loved the stories, by the way. I know our listeners do. And I want to just talk, if it's okay with you, we're just going to finish this thing up with just talking why it matters. I want this to be bigger than just surviving Halloween, right? We said that at the outset. We want this to be bigger than just the month that we're in, right? We know that October is kind of the warm-up for the holidays. Reality is, it's only going to get tougher and tougher to maintain those healthy habits and to fight for what's worth it. Talk to people for just a second about why doing these things right now matters as we're going into the holidays and ultimately we're all working towards health. Why does this matter so much, Dr. Tracy?
They always say, we talked about this, the best time to start chiropractic was when you're hours old.
Mm.
The second time, the best time to start chiropractic is now. Same with your health. Same with if you've made mistakes in the past, if you haven't followed the good, healthy guidelines, the best time is to start is now. So where do you start? Increase your water. I just took a drink of water. Increase your water. We are made of 80% water. If we don't have water in our system, our blood is thicker, our kidneys don't function, our heart has to pump harder, so you're gonna have high blood pressure. It's regulation for our brain, meaning the fluids of our spinal cord and our brain. You need water. And people are like, oh, I drink water. And I'm like, how much do you drink? Some days, today is going to be a bad day. I'm just going to tell you, I have my water bottle with me, but we're going to be out and about. I know I'm going to be poor on my water. I know that. That's why I'm drinking now. So the second thing is eating the rainbow. Eating the rainbow. Eat a variety of foods. Don't eat the same foods every day. When I hear, I have oatmeal every day, I hear oatmeal is good for you. You don't want to eat the same foods every day. Creates a resistance and a sensitivity to it. I know that's a whole nother story. But eating the rainbow, eating variety, introducing your kids early to that variety as well. You can have a treat. Just be reasonable about it. Be reasonable. And obviously sleep. We need good sleep. And this is the time to do it. It's darker. It's going to get darker earlier. I don't know anyone that likes the time change. I don't know anybody that likes the time change. But it's going to get darker earlier. Listen to that. Don't keep burning the candle at both ends. Listen to that. Slow down. That's what this time is about. Regroup. Restore.
Well, we are setting a tone for the holidays starting today. We are going to step into these healthy habits, and we're going to do it together. So I want to say thanks again, everybody, for joining the conversation. What was your takeaway? What was the big idea that you got out of this podcast? Comment below. Let us know. We're eager to hear from you. We want this to be a conversation. But thanks for joining us on the Spooky Season Survival Guide. And just know that we are especially going to be keeping this kind of conversation going throughout the holidays because we know it's much needed. But Dr. Tracy, thank you for your time. Thanks for even as you're out visiting family, you found a way to make time for this conversation because it's important. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Blessings.